Hello and welcome everybody, whoever joins this live. I'm basically just going to pick up from where I left off the other day when I was doing a live stream and I was working towards finishing this painting that I did on location in Murcia, Spain, just last week. And today I'm just going to paint like a few final details. I want to put in a bit more into the sky, just a little bit around the cathedral, and also a little bit more around these tree areas here. I started applying some direct, thick paint straight out of the tube with cadmium yellow and lemon yellow as well, but I also want to get some pure sap green in there too, so I'll probably start off with that, to be honest, and then eventually I will get on to removing the tape so we can reveal the nice clean border around the painting. I know this is a funny time to do a live stream, so I don't expect too many people to join. Probably most people are at work or sleeping, depending on if they're based in the UK or the US. But anyway, I'm just gonna go along. This wasn't planned, I just decided to go ahead and do it. So let's see, I want to make sure. Just going to wet my brush and I'm going to go straight in with some direct, thick, straight from the tube, and I might mix it up with some yellow too, but some sap green colour, like a medium green inside the shadows, which is what I missed out on last time. Just to give a little bit more colour variation in the trees. And I'm definitely going to create like a little bit of an extra mixture with some cadmium yellow too. See how that goes. Yeah, this is just going to be a chill session. Not sure how long I'll do it for, but you're welcome to listen in, sketch along, paint along, or just watch if you like. I'm just going to be finishing up these details as I was. So right now I'm mixing up straight from the tube, cadmium yellow and sap green, just to bring in a little bit extra in the greens of the trees. So I missed out on that last time. Painting pretty thick, it's pure watercolour straight out the tube, no watering it down in any way. And you've got to be quick because it can dry really, really fast once you lay it down on your palette. So I'm just looking around as to where I want to put these greens and where they're going to be warmer and cooler. You can see some of the original brush marks that I did on location at the time. Super rapid because time was running out as I was doing it. But it was great fun. And usually as I get towards the end of the painting, I'll paint these really thick strokes. And I mentioned in the previous video, these like pastel strokes which just create an extra level of interest on the painting. And just placing them in a few areas. I'll probably create like a slightly warmer mix too, because it was that golden hour light right before I had to stop. And we got warm and cool greens in there. So definitely going to mix up a little bit of burnt sienna into some pure sap green. Let's see what I get from that. I'm going to use a different brush too. And just mixing it up on my palette on the side here. I really like, it's really nice doing these, coming back to these plein air paintings after I've done them on location, especially if I feel like I want to add to it, because it's a lot more chilled at home compared to when you're on the spot and you've really got to perform in that short space of time and do the best that you possibly can. There's all sorts of distractions around, you can interact with people, which could be great. You never know, you can interact with people who want to buy your painting on the spot if they like it, which is amazing. So you have to be open to that and having a conversation. But it can interrupt the flow, so you have to be prepared, or at least accept that you might have to interrupt your work, but you can always come back later, right? So without the pressure, the time pressure, the color and light that can change and vanish so quickly. So you have to make quick decisions on the spot. But I think you really do learn a lot when you do that, painting outdoors. So I'm just looking from above just to see how much I want to go into this. I also want to bring out some of the violet and pink tones, because there was a tree, I'm not sure if it was cherry, it might have been a cherry blossom tree around here and lower down on the painting. So I definitely want to bring out some of those. So I'm going to mix up some, I think, cadmium red and titanium white, just to make a nice pink mixture, and maybe a little bit of magenta as well. In a sec. I'll just finish up with these greens. And just before I finished on location, I did take a picture of what I was looking at, whilst the colour and the light was still that golden hour stage. So I'm now looking at that photo that I took, rather than relying purely on memory, which would have been pretty hard. But anybody who joins in, feel free to ask a question or comment anything you like. I'll be checking from time to time, and happy for you to be here and to interact with you. I've mentioned before that I want to do more of these live streams because it's a good way for me to talk about the process of what I'm working on. But it's also, I find it low pressure compared to, not low pressure, it's easier to do compared to doing like a full-blown planned video for YouTube in long form. So when I'm doing more studies, pencil or paint, I am definitely going to consider going live for those. And hopefully you enjoy it and I can provide some good tips, information. But yeah, as I said, feel free to ask any question. Hi there, hello, thank you very much. Vitara, Vitara Boyce, you subbed. I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you very much. Where in the world are you from? And also, I hope I pronounce it right, Suamea50. I've got a little notification that's popped up. Add a Q&A sticker. Many or few toppings. I'll consider that in a minute. Add a Q&A sticker. I've never done that before. I guess I'll try it. It's just disappeared. But if it pops up again, I'll just select it and see what happens. So, yeah, back to what I was painting. So yeah, definitely want to get in a little bit more of a balance of warm parts of the green in the trees. Some warm greens, so mixing up sienna with sap green and cadmium yellow. And it's not a bit too much that I do on this painting, just a few little bits here and there, because I didn't quite get it over the line the other day, as I mentioned before. So obviously get up there, really like the pressure. I mean, you can change your brush often if you've got a selection of brushes, but you can also just, if you want really small marks sometimes, just really lightly dabble the paint onto the canvas or the sketchbook, whatever it is you're working on, and tilt your brush so you get different angles. But in order to do that, it's important to have brushes that are in good condition. They're not all split and fluffy at the end. I want to take care of your brushes. So looking at this, I'm gonna apply a little bit more dabs of yellow before I move on to the cherry blossom mix. Just a little bit here and there. So before I added pure cadmium yellow from the tube, I think I'm going to do mostly that with a little tiny bit of that sap green in there. And just mix small little suggestions of leaves that are catching some of that light that comes from it. Definitely not going into too much detail, I'm just trying to suggest here and there. A little bit more pure yellow. Pure paint, often the funnest part. Now some pure sap green. I kind of wish I had a slightly even warmer and lighter green straight from the tube. It would have been good to play with, I think. Just a few here and there. Don't want to lose the original energy of the plein air that I was working on. I think that'll do. A few little marks below. And for the music, if you can hear it, some background music, I use Epidemic Sound, and I searched for Spanish guitar music, so it's not music I've listened to before, so hopefully it's all right. Trying to match the Spanish environment that I was painting in on this trip. Now I'm gonna mix that cherry blossom. I think it's cherry blossom. I'm just gonna call it cherry blossom. Cherry blossom mix of red and white on my my easel to my side. Just make it the right paints. And I'm going to apply it as thickly as possible, but just in a few select little areas. I'm also going to make sure I've got some of that magenta on my palette. I didn't want to put it on before the stream because it does dry really, really quick. So I've got this colour here. I've got a few to choose from. This is designer's gouache, so I can either go straight with gouache or use a watercolour, but I've got these different. This is, it's really hard to pronounce, quinacridone magenta. Very, very strong, potent pigment. You only need a tiny amount, and I imagine this is really similar to, I haven't used this one too much before, so Rose Tyrian. So I'm going to try a bit of that. Pure gouache this time, mixed with titanium white, again, gouache paint. And let's see, yeah, it's really strong. Have a look. I don't know if you can see the vibrancy. Yeah, you should be able to. So I'm going to reduce the saturation a little bit in some of that mix with pure white designer's gouache. And let's see how it looks. I'm just going to dabble a few little bits here and there. This is one of the little travel boxes, minus the tissue, that I keep my paints in. I mean, it's like a snack box, BPA-free little box, and it just protects it. It's a solid layer around the paint, so they're protected when you travel, because I've kept them in like thin material before, and they can easily get crushed. So a little box, you can probably even get a smaller one than this, like a little snack case, just to keep them safe. And I take these on as carry-on luggage for travel too. I've never been pulled up at the airport with these paints, so that's good. Right, anyway, before this paint dries, I need to get it mixed. So let's see, it is really such a nice colour. I'm reducing it right down with this white, titanium white. Let's see, yeah, it looks pretty good. Let me go even thicker though. Even thicker than I did there. So I'm using pure paint, I'm just trying to get the right mix at the same time. Okay, yeah, this is a little bit lighter. It's cool. I can use slightly different parts of the mixture, but it's nice and thick. And it's definitely going to make these colours pop a little bit more. So I am going to be really careful because I've got the paint quite thick on the brush, so I just want to make sure in certain parts I'm just dabbling really lightly to get those tiny little marks of paint, and hopefully lead the eye around this cathedral, Murcia Cathedral. I'm going to go back in with slightly stronger mix, the more vibrant pink. Oh, this is quite nice. So this is like a little happy accident, I guess, because I've got some of the slightly more saturated pink. I don't know if you can see that in focus. And then a lighter part of the mix on the other side of the brush. So when I lay down some of these strokes, you're going to see it's going to give it a bit of form just with one little dab of the brush, like just that. "3D sense without having to put a dark down and then a light on top," which is pretty cool. I mean, you can mix two tones or values close to each other and scoop up the paint with the technique with the brush. I don't usually do that. This was by accident, but it's nice when it happens. And you can also use flat brushes. You can create like these sweeping strokes. Like, for example, if you're doing a leaf, you can have a dark and a light part of, let's say, green on the brush at the same time. You can do this stroke with both of those tones like blending into each other. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to put too much down here. Let's see, just looking from above, just a little bit more. One other thing I could do is add a little bit of ultramarine blue to part of this mix, because without doubt some of these flowers will be picking up some reflected light from the sky. I also want to come down here, like I've made quite a bit of paint, so straight from the tube I may as well add some of, because there's similar kind of trees and plants are on the lower part of the painting too, where this walkway is, and lots of people were running, jogging along here when I was standing there painting. So not too much because it's not the focal area, but just a little bit. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that with the ultramarine blue. I think I've got it on the table. Yes, I have. So Inked 6880 says, "Hi, hello, how are you doing? Where are you listening from or watching from? Thank you for joining." Once I'm done with this painting, I'm gonna hopefully cleanly remove the tape around it, but the tape was a little bit tough. From New Zealand, very nice. I lived in New Zealand for 2 years, so whereabouts in New Zealand? I first lived in Auckland, then I lived in Christchurch, and then I spent most of the time living in Queenstown, which is my favourite place. Far north, nice. It's the Bay of Islands in the north, I think, isn't it? Bay of Islands. But I went to the north. I did like a Kiwi bus experience. I had no idea what I was in for when I joined that, but I got to see a lot of the country. It was beautiful. So many like stunning walks around there. Doubtless Bay, nice. That rings a bell. Actually, it does ring a bell. It was 2009 and 10 that I was exploring New Zealand for the first time. And when I left, the last time I was there, it was 2016, I think, after I was living in Queenstown for a while. But I was in and out at points. I was living in Australia too. After my first year in New Zealand, I went to Australia. Then I was coming back to New Zealand. Stunning country. And a very good friend of mine lives there too, the North Island. He's also a landscape painter. You might know him, Samuel Earp. I'm from England, so I'm from a little city. Well, to me it's more like a big town, but it's got city status now. It's called Brighton and Hove. They've got a big football team here now. Brighton and Hove Albion, Premier League. It's a coastal town. It's not far from London. Probably about an hour and a half by train. 40 minutes away from Gatwick, or maybe less, like 35 minutes. But yeah, I love New Zealand. Great memories. Are you an artist as well? I'm assuming you are, because you've got inked in your name. What kind of art do you do? So that's what I was going to do. I was going to mix some of that ultramarine into this mix to get some of that reflected light into the pinks. Yeah, I was learning actually in the South Island of New Zealand with my friend Samuel Earp I was plein air painting for the first time with him. That was my first experience doing plein air painting. It was oils. I later learned from another one of my favourite teachers, Nathan Fowkes, with the watercolour and gouache techniques. One of my favourites. I've also met him in person too. But originally it was oil painting in New Zealand, and I was painting in Glenorchy, Queenstown, Arrowtown. I think it was, that surrounding area. And then there was some scenes from The Lord of the Rings, I think, where I would go and paint. It was amazing. And sometimes just the little lake, Queenstown Park, I think it was called. That's where I did my first few little studies. Okay, so just checking the painting above. See where I'm at. Okay. I want to mix up. I think I've got enough of this ultramarine and violet mix. Just gonna add a tiny, tiny bit more. Just a few little dabs of paint. This is a super fun form of painting for me because I really like realism and I like going in with like rendering and detail and everything, but this is a lot more loose and expressive. It's just nice variation to paint this way, especially when traveling. It's so much fun. And you can get something down, like a suggestion, really, really quick, in like 40-45 minutes if you're just not fussing and just going for it as well as you can. You can get some really nice results. But it also takes a little bit of fluidity, and if you've done it for a day or two, that's when you're really going to see the results, I think, because you're going to be a lot more warmed up and attuned to what you're doing. Whereas it can be a little bit difficult, like particularly on this trip for me, this was the painting where I was just getting warmed up. I'd started one earlier in the day, and it was quite hard to get into it, and I had to keep moving my easel because of the sun was coming over a building and bearing down on me, and eventually had to stop because I was meeting somebody for coffee. But it was this one that I was really starting to feel, as I was getting towards the end, like feeling it, like really feeling it, and wanting to continue. I wanted to come back the next morning and paint, but I just ran out of time. My flight was the next morning to come back. One thing I want to do now is I just want to put a little bit of this warmer light green, but a little bit thicker, just to separate the tree and the gate a little bit, if I can do that. And then I'm going to mix up a little bit of the sky mixture and just define some of these details in the cathedral, in and around, like the spires and these open window. I'm not sure what you call them. I think these are turrets, parts of the cathedral, and then you've got these open window kind of passageways that go through all the way through. I just want to add a little bit more contrast there because the cathedral is the focal point, even though it's in the distance. Just want to add a little bit more interest there. So just checking one more time, do I want to add any more of this ultramarine combination with the lovely red I was using, rose paint. Just to create a bit of colour harmony, I'm going to put some of this mix in different parts of the painting. Cool, that'll do it. Right, clean the brush. Oh, cool, you commented again, that's what you said. I'm creative, I've tried dot work, mandalas, spent 4 years, YouTube. Diversity learning, graphic design, now I'm playing with jelly paint, reverse painting. I've never heard of that before. Gelly or jelly paint, plate reverse painting. That's cool. Mandalas are really nice. I saw quite a few mandala murals in Australia actually. I met one of the artists there, he was a Brazilian guy. He was painting mandalas in some cafes on the Gold Coast. And he was specifically doing mandalas. 4 years. No, I'm not sure if you mean you have been on YouTube making content or you're learning on YouTube. And graphic design too. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I did. I studied graphic design and illustration myself at college in England. And college is between the age of 16 and 18, if you didn't know. So yeah, that was cool. Also, that's where I first started to learn life drawing with the nude model, which is one of my favourite practices. I learned so much about anatomy and the human form. It's great. And I was 16 when I first had my first session at my graphic design and illustration college. It's quite an experience actually. I remember very well, I tell this story to people because it's quite funny. The model was an attractive woman, and the guys, all the young lads, all of us like 16, were super focused and very much into the drawing, let's just say. Whereas some of the girls in the class were, it was their first time too. It was everybody's first time, I think, anyway. But a lot of the ladies felt a bit embarrassed. This is just like a different kind of thing. Like a lot of them were blushing, whereas the guys were like absolutely loving it. But it was a really great way to learn the figure. It wasn't instructed. I'm just checking my green here. So it's going to add a little bit more warmth. It wasn't instructed. There was a teacher there, but he was more just support and encouragement, I guess, and just telling giving the models some guidance on what to do. and then we were just free to draw and observe and draw the best that we could. Anyway, going off on a tangent. I'm just going to check what you've said since. This printing technique, it's fun. Yeah, nice. YouTube University. Is YouTube, like, are you saying you learn from YouTube, or YouTube University is like a channel? Or you've treated YouTube as university? Which you could probably do, to be fair. There's a lot of stuff you can learn without needing to go to college on YouTube. 16 years, nice. Learning from YouTube, yeah, nice, cool. All right, just checking my green mix here. Go a little bit lighter. Just want to remove. I mean, it kind of looked like the tree was floating a little bit, so I just want to ground it. Make sure it's there on the floor, not floating off. Let's see, I think I need a bit of orange mix. So check my paints real quick. Might have to just mix one up. I'm just going to use some burnt sienna. Mix up a little bit with the screen. Yeah, there's so much you can learn from YouTube, for sure. And it's only getting bigger, and there's more and more artists and creatives that join, I think, every week. So you can definitely do it alone, I think. And of course, there's creators that offer more than what they do on YouTube. And yeah, that you can get your skills up in a lot of areas up really, really high just through learning online. It's insane. Bit more green. Yeah, this is the first stream where I've done, it's basically like a part two to one I did a few days ago where I just had to stop because I had to go to work and I had a very strict time limit. Today I'm free to do live streams, and I might even do another one later, pencil drawing based, on some of the stunning paintings I saw in the Bellas des, I hope I say it correct, Bellas del Artes Museum in Valencia, because I fell in love with that place. It was ridiculous. I spent hours there, and I returned to some rooms multiple times. And I think even the security, like, what's this guy doing? What is he doing? But the first time, I was only allowed to, the security at reception, for some reason, was saying I wasn't allowed to bring my Osmo camera, which is pretty small. It's probably about the length of this brush without the extensions, and I could fit it in my pocket. But for some reason, that was an issue. But I could film on my iPhone, which I'm streaming from right now. I thought that was a bit strange, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get all the footage on my phone because mine has limited phone memory, and I'm constantly running out because I'm always making content on my phone. So at some point, I decided just to go back downstairs into the locker and sneak my little camera into my pocket and return to the floors and the levels where I saw these beautiful paintings and just film on that camera discreetly, because like, what difference does it make to then if it's on my iPhone or on that camera? Like nothing. So I took loads of video footage, and I might make a little video later on showing those works. But before I do that, I want to do some pencil drawing studies, master studies from those stunning works, because I was just in awe. There was just so much there. It's introduced me as well to a bunch of Spanish artists that I didn't even know existed. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'll be showing them on that video if I create it. But my favorite, and I mentioned this in the previous video, my favorite Spanish artist currently is Joaquin Sorolla. And he had a whole floor to himself up there. It was, well, pretty much a whole floor. And yeah, the work was beautiful. I've got one of his books just over there on my bookshelf of his work. And it was the first time seeing his masterworks in abundance up close. It was like, just beautiful. So grateful. And I'm considering making a free resource for people in my artist community of like a reference pack of all of the photos I took from Spain and Valencia. So other artists in my community can also draw and paint from those as they please. It shouldn't take me too long to put that together, so I'll probably do that soon. Right, back to the painting so I don't get too off track. So I wanted to just check in these trees. The bases, am I happy? It's still very gestural, but it's fine. Just don't want them to feel like, oh, this one's drifting off the edge a little bit. And so is that. How do you spell Sorolla? So it's not that way. It's Sorolla. I'll pick up the book. It's on my bookshelf. Just a second, and I can show it to you. The book that I've got. Just a sec. So here it is. Well, this is one of his books that I've got. So it's Sorolla. Hopefully I can fit it in. There you go. Spanish Master of Light. It's a really nice book. This is hardback as well. Solid. I would show you the works, but it's a bit hard from, I mean, I can open up a couple of pages, but to show you, I can tilt it a little bit. 1 or 2 pages. I don't want to rest it on my painting though. It's not quite dry yet. You're welcome. Yeah, hopefully you got his name there. But yeah, he's one of the great Spanish painters. And his work's kind of similar to my favourite artist, John Singer Sargent, similar style. But Sorolla is, yeah, he's known for his colour and light paintings. And he done some epic painting commissions, and there was one in there that I saw that I'd never seen before. I'm just going to see if I can show you one more page from this book. Bit hard to fit it all in. Don't want to knock the camera. But yeah, it's one thing looking at, and the paintings that I saw in the gallery, they're not in this book, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2 of them are. that Valencia is the city that he was born in. And I actually didn't know that when I arrived in Valencia, so it was like a pleasant surprise to go into this gallery, this museum, and a security guard told me like a large collection of his work was upstairs, and I couldn't wait to get up. Yeah, there's lots of beautiful paintings, lots and lots. Yeah, so one more time, that's the book, but there'll be others. You can have a look online. And I'm sure there'll be YouTube videos about him too. That book was a gift, actually, from somebody that I met who was a supporter of my work, which I really appreciate. So, where was I? I was going to come back and mix some very light parts of the sky and bring out a little bit of contrast around the cathedral. And then I think I'll start removing the tape and get a look with the clean white border. So I'm just going to clean this brush. I use these two little cups, get the majority of the paint off in the first wash, dry it off for paper towel, and then I use another one just to get excess paint off the brush too. So now I just need to try to mix the right color combination, because yeah, it was like the sky at this time, it seemed a bit green lower to the horizon, like a bluish green, and then it sort of blended up towards a kind of cerulean blue and then ultramarine high you got. So there was this really fine gradient, but I just want to focus on these little bits here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult trying to mix that exact paint, but I'm going to give it a go. Are there other artists in my family or family tree? It's a really interesting question. Well, I don't know far back in my family tree. I haven't actually done, I should really look into that, because I have English, Irish and Scottish roots. But my immediate family, no, I don't think so. I know that, pretty sure I've got a memory of my dad trying painting at some point, or my mum said he did. But I'm not entirely sure. He wasn't properly an artist or anything. And my uncle used to like to draw a bit, I guess, at school. But he's also a very talented sportsman, and he also almost became a professional footballer. I remember, would draw a couple of things when I was a kid, but yeah, he didn't like do it properly. So yeah, not really. No, I don't really have like a proper artist in my family. And then my niece, who's 9 years old, she's really into art, but she's also into writing and stuff like that. But yeah, not really. I just went off on my own journey of, I've always been into art since I was really, really young. But yeah, it would have been nice to have somebody close. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello there. I've only been to Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I'd definitely like to explore more. Whereabouts in the Netherlands are you from? I'm just going to mix this sky colour now. Let me see. Is my white still active? I think it is. Don't need to mix too much on my palette. Let's see. And it's going to be tricky to judge because it will dry slightly darker to what I put on the paper, but let's see. Bobby Rourke, are you also an artist from the Netherlands, if you're still here? So, I want to steady here. Just want to bring out a few little bits. Get rid of some of the excess paint. Get those really fine. Lines, super. Sometimes when I'm doing these really fine lines, I've got to keep steady. I won't talk, of course, because I'm creating vibration movement with the vibration of my voice, but also I will hold my breath momentarily. Just for a few seconds, just to make those little strokes. Can definitely help when you're going really fine, really small. I mean, I've got some of the original pencil marks in there. I quite like them, so I might just leave them in. If you can see, I use like a red pencil just to sketch the original foundations of the cathedral. There's a bit of drilling and stuff going on outside. Hopefully that's not too distracting. Just pick up a little bit of that sky through these little turrets. I'll check how dark it dries in a minute because I might have to add a little bit more white to it. I also don't want to interfere with the original sky gradient. Don't create it too much. So I think as well, let's check the top. It's quite cool doing this live actually, because I would just be sitting here doing it by myself, either in complete silence or listening to some chill music. So it's quite an interesting thing to, and a fun thing as well to at any time know that somebody anywhere in the world can just jump on, watch what I'm doing, and interact with me. It's crazy. So I really like the idea of that. Definitely want to do it more. It's exciting as well. You never know who you're going to meet. Fellow artists around the world. So let's see. I'm going to bring in just bits of that sky. I think I'm going to add just a little bit more titanium white to this sky mix around the cathedral, just trying to create a little bit of extra contrast. And then finally, I will mix up a lighter tone of this warm light hitting the side of the cathedral and just put a few strokes down. If I can mix the correct colours that I originally painted with. bits poking through. Trees too. Just going to go back over the first little bit, but this time with slightly more white. Just checking the comments. Yeah, it's great, and you find connection like the New Zealand thing. They say 2% separation. Yeah. So I think I'm at my limit there. These colours, I don't want to repaint the sky and interfere with all the other brushwork I've placed on top. So now I'm going to first just put a few lines to suggest a tiny bit the geometry of the building below. You can't really, it's obfuscated by the trees, which is fine. I just want to put little bits here and there. These turrets, just like a tiny little bit more ultramarine blue. Picking up some of those, some of the reflection on the sky. It needs to be lighter than that. Just a few little marks. That'll do. Cool. Clean the brush and just going to mix up that yellowy orange. It's more of a stone, like a warm stone colour, with the sunset on it too. This yellowish warm sunset. Let's see. So I reckon a bit of burnt sienna, bit of cadmium yellow hue, tiny bit of, tiny little bit of ultramarine blue and titanium white. Could be yellow ochre too. Let's just see. Just going to activate my paint. And then once I've done that, I will remove tape. Once I've removed the tape, I'll get a different view of the painting. I can see if I want to make any final strokes before calling it done. Just test. Let's give this a try. Saturation is good, but slightly dark in value. So I'll mix up a lighter version of this. Just putting a few little strokes here and there, picking up those planes on the cathedral, capture parts of that warm sunset glow. just see if there's a bit of extra titanium white. Too much. Just a little bit. And let's see. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, going back onto the topic of having artists in the family, I've met artists who've got artist parents. It's a really nice thing because I think the child is almost guaranteed to get that encouragement. Maybe not always, but the child wants to do art and pursue it. The parent is probably much more likely to encourage them to do it because they get it, understand. I think so many young artists are scared out of pursuing it because of the stigmas attached to being an artist and society thinking how difficult it is. It scares a lot of people off. Then they're abandoning their path, aren't they? I feel like a lot of people are meant to be artists, but they get talked out of it at a young age, which is a shame. It is. And you can do other things as you build yourself up, doing your creative work. You can just get another job for the time being. Work on your skills in your spare time. If going full time isn't an option. Hello, random random post by X. Thank you very much for the comment. Appreciate it. But where are you from in the world? I'm just adding like finishing touches to a plein air painting I did in Spain last week. I painted on location in Watercolour Gouache. Right now I'm just adding a few little final details, but I don't want to go overboard with it. I want to keep it the spirit of the sketch that I did on location, but just with a little extra refinement. And I think I'm pretty much there, to be honest. Just a few deliberate strokes. I have a really talented son and now also granddaughter who has drawn from a young age. That's amazing. Great. So what does your son like to work on and your granddaughter? I imagine then your granddaughter is pencil drawing. And what is your son into? But yeah, encourage them all the way. It's probably inspiring for you to see that as well in them. So I think that is enough for the cathedral. And I think I'm going to remove the tape. I'll try and do it as carefully as I can. It's not the usual artist tape that I've used in the past. I did try to reduce some of the stickiness of the tape by placing it on my jeans, my denim jeans first, and then taking it off. It's supposed to remove some of the adhesive quality of the tape to protect the paper you put it on. Let's see. Hopefully it doesn't strip off much or any of the watercolour sketch paper. But let's see. So it's going to be hard to fit this all in the screen, but I'll do my best. So I'll keep these little corner bits close by, just so I can lay the sketch down without the border. I have to flip it over, I think, for a minute. Find where you get a different view of it now too. Let's see what you said. My son paints and draws. Nice. Draws some photos. Cool. Nice. What paint does your son like to work in? So let's see here. Usually when I do these travel plein air paintings too, I do them on slightly smaller sketch pad. But this is the same brand, Canson, and just larger surface. Okay, so instantly I'm getting rid of some of those leaves that were in the foreground. Okay, that was pretty clean. Happy with that first bit. If the rest all around the painting comes off that, I'll be like that. I'll be very happy. Let's see. So just find the when doing this, I want to try to put it away from the actual painting as well as I can. Let's see. I've also taped it to a bit of card that's actually the back part of the sketchbook to give me like a solid frame to work on. Just bear with me whilst I get to the back of the painting and loosen up this tape in the corners. So I want to make sure that tightens up carefully. Let's see. If I can do it in a nice smooth action, great. Okay, part two, not bad at all. That's came off quite nicely. So let's see with this bottom section. Pretty good. Took off a tiny bit off the paper, but not much. All right, the final little section. Just flip the painting one more time. But yeah, the border has removed a fair bit of the paint. So you can see here the bit of card. This was the back of the sketch pad, and I've just removed it away from the metal binding and then just used some of this tape to give me that sturdy layer so I can attach it to my easel. So hopefully this is going to come off nice and smooth. Oh, so close, so close. That's the back part. This is the painting about the border. I also remove this, which attaches the part that attaches it to the actual sketch pad. So that's how it looks without, I'll just lift the phone up, without the border. Quite nice and clean. What paper is it? And oils and acrylics. I guess he's learning what he likes. Cool, that's cool. I'll show you the sketchbook right now. I mean, if you're interested in getting one, I'll put a link actually below for Amazon, because I've actually got, I'm an Amazon affiliate, so any art products that are sold on Amazon, if an artist buys through the links that I put in my videos, I get like, I think it's like 3% or something, or 5% off the sale. So yeah, I'd appreciate that. I'll put the link down later, but it's a Canson 300 GSM A4 size. So I was using A5 size for a lot of my other plein air paintings, but yeah, the paper quality is really nice. It's nice and thick. That's one sheet, nice and thick. And like I said, I take the back off for the plein airs and attach a sheet lightly with some of the tape, and I'll just pack it in my bag. But you get, there's loads for me to work with there, and the quality is pretty good. There's also an Aquarelle brand, but this is it's pretty good. I'm happy with this. Anyway, that's that. I'm just going to look at the painting for a second in silence, just to see if I can see anything that I want to add to it. I need to take a step back. I'm just going to add a few more dabbles of paint. That's it, that's pretty much done. Just going to see check the chat again. I just want to add a few more little dabs of the rose with the ultramarine blue in the shadow area of the tree, just a few. And just a few more specks of pure yellow paint up here, and that'll be it. Thank you very much for the kind words. So yeah, I'll just quickly hold this back in place, and yeah, then just going to make the final few marks. Yeah, pretty happy with that. So yeah, I'll use the same tape that I used before. Just hold the corners down. So yeah, this is a nice thing to do as well. When you create this border, you can come back. You see the painting minus some of the edges, because I painted over these lines, of course. So you can see how much has been taken away, but I'm happy with the borders. It's just internally, I want to add a few more little bits, just a few. So I'm just going to check how this paint is. Just mix it up. That rose colour. Again with the ultramarine. Actually need to put a tiny bit more down. That's the paint again. Onto my palette. Let's see. Probably put too much. I could also maybe add a few marks of cool green, blue green. Just a few little. Few little specks of paint. Tiny bit more yellow, and then I'm just going to check, mix up a really cool green real quick, just for a little bit more variation in the greens. Not too much. Let's see, is this paint still dry? Almost. Okay, I think that's cool. So green, let's see what greens I've got to play with. To mix up with the ultramarine, I probably might, if I've got phthalo green available, that would be really good. Got phthalo blue. Cypress green. That could be the one. Let's see. Give it a go. I might not even have to mix too much. I might just have to mix a little bit of white with it. But this is pure gouache this time. No watercolour. Ah, it's really strong. It's really strong. Just put a tiny bit more down on my palette. Let's see. And just quickly clean my brush. But for anybody watching this afterwards, if anybody's watched all the way to the end, I will put this painting up for sale if anybody is interested, and I'll put the link in the description later today. I'll sign it next. I'll just do a pencil border around the edges. You know what, I might even just do it on this live stream too. Why not? I'll show you how I apply the very final finishing touches to a painting before I put it up for sale. So just mix out this green. It's very blue, but it could be good. Let's see. And I'm just gonna test it. Just a few of those. Few leaves catching that. how do you know when it's finished? How do you know when a painting's finished? It's a really good question. I think the most important thing is just to sit quietly with your painting and stare at it in silence without any real distraction. And just observe it, like think about, have you captured something that you wanted to capture? Have you managed to make the painting about something? I mean, for me, it's about the cathedral here, but also about the beautiful warm light in the trees, in the foreground or the midground. So have you made the painting about something? Have you followed through with the original intent? And are you happy with how it looks? And you can just let your eyes scan around the painting and see if there's anything else you want to add. But be aware, you don't want to go overboard and add too much additional work. And yeah, just sit there quietly and think and observe, I'd say. And then with me, I just sort of know, okay, yeah, I'm happy where this is at. I'm happy to call it done. But it depends on the kind of painting I'm doing as well. If it's a more realistic painting, I'll be putting a lot more effort and time into it. And I will check the composition, and I'll check that the focal area has the highest points of interest or contrast, things like that. Think about the fundamentals, and just am I happy with the color, the values, the tone, the composition, etc. All of those things you can just run through your mind, and if you're just generally happy enough, then yeah, you can just call it done and move on to the next one. So I think that's all I needed, just a few little marks of that cooler variant. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So unless I see something in a minute, I'm going to put a pencil border around the edges and then sign it. So let's just move these little brushes out of the way and put them to the side. And I'm going to use a mechanical pencil, I think. 0.3, that should do it. Maybe it's a bit too thin actually. Uh, 0.7. Would be perfect for this, but I'm not sure where it is. Just check my pencil case. And then I'll get the nice clean ruler. Yeah, I've got a 0.5, cool. So to do this, I'll have to stand above the painting and just grab my ruler. Make sure it's nice and clean. Then, I don't know, you probably won't be able to see this very bottom section. I'm just gonna put it over each edge of the painting and just draw a line around it. It's going to make it pop off the paper even more. It's a technique I learned from Nathan Fowkes. I'll probably, to make sure I do this properly, I'm just going to rotate the actual painting itself. As I do this, so I lean on the pen anyway. So yeah, just lay the ruler over right over the edge, get in place. That's a little bit restricted. I'll go twice. It's not going to be perfect because some of the paint might have gone slightly under or slightly over the taped border. But you get pretty close and that's fine because it still helps it pop a little bit. So, just get it in place. That should be good. I think, yeah, it was actually, I painted this exactly a week ago in Spain. It was on Monday, which is my final day. So yeah, that's good. I've drawn the border in now, so now I'm just going to sign it. So usually I just like to put the place, what it is. So it's Murcia Cathedral. So I'll just write that down in the corner. Spain. And date, so today's it's the 18th, I think. So, Spain, date, and yeah, just sign. I might write Watercolour Gouache on it too, if not on the back. And yeah, that's it. Just going to look again from above, just checking. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that for a study. Like, yeah, I left these leaves just with one stroke at the top, which is fine. Just getting that suggestion in, but yeah, I'm glad you find it very relaxing to watch. Thank you. I will probably do a pencil drawing live stream later on today or tomorrow as well, now that I'm in the flow of it. So feel free to, I think you can turn on there's like a notification thing. I don't know if it goes out to everybody because I know there's an artist who likes to watch the videos but doesn't always get a notification, but you can give it a try. And if you're awake and free, you can just turn it on. I'm just going to go over this edge at the top one last time. I actually started another plein air painting on the same day, but I had to abandon it really, really early. I'll show it to you actually now. I could continue that on a live stream, but it's in the very, very early stages. And it just looks like abstract shapes at the moment. But very, very early stages. This was like a statue of Mary, and these were umbrellas for restaurants, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And trees as well in the foreground, and lots of backlighting and stuff. But this was the very early sort of ugly stage of the painting, so I could come back and create another video for that too, and just go through the process of developing that particular painting. Thank you for subscribing. Glad you and thank you for interacting and commenting. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll link the sketchbook as well. I'll get my own little link there and put it in the description. And I'm going to take pictures of this painting and put that up too. But thank you so much for joining, for commenting. It's really nice to meet you. I don't know your name, of course, but inked from New Zealand. So it'd be nice to have you here on the live stream. And for everybody else who came and who might watch later, appreciate you. Thank you so much. And hopefully see you in the next one. Have an amazing day, morning, afternoon, evening, sleep. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, everybody.